I'm going to start going to bed at 9 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, at 8:30, I need to be like in the bed.
Right.
That's my thing. I've crossed over that edge now where it's time I need to sleep early. I need my rest.
There you go. You need your beauty rest, right?
Exactly. So,
I mean, Lonnie G cannot get any prettier. I mean, but he doesn't need extra rest. So,
thanks, Jody B. But we all can see on the screen that's not the truth. Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks. I'm your host for tonight, Lonnie G, and I am joined by everyone's favorite duck, that is Jody B. How are you, Jody?
I'm phenomenal. How are you, Lonnie G?
I am excited because we have a couple of guests on today to share something that's been our bucket list for a long time, and that is an Adventures by Disney trip. So we have Ben and Kristen on tonight. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
We're doing great. And for you guys that know our history, hopefully you do. If not, I'm going to share it anyway. But Ben was instrumental in the naming of this podcast, as well as 3 years ago, getting us through a really hard dopey. So you probably heard us talk about Ben many times on the show. He's been on before, but now you have an opportunity to see him once again as he's graced us to join us to share his latest adventure. But before we get started, if you like what you hear, we only ask that you go on to your podcatcher of choice, drop us a like, subscribe, share it with a friend, share it with somebody who likes to travel, share it with anybody, share it with somebody that you don't like, and we will torture them for you. So with that being said, we're going to get straight into it. Ben and Kristen, you guys did something that we can all just dream about. And that is Adventures by Disney. So let's start this puppy off with your trip. So you open the website, you open the book that they send you. There's all these tours, all these options. What did you select?
We selected the Italy adventure, which included Rome, Florence, and Venice.
Okay, you may not know this, but I speak fluent Italian. Would you guys like to hear it?
We would love to.
Love to.
Pizza, spaghetti, marinara sauce. All right. So anyway, I think we lost all our Italian listeners with that one. You decided to go to Italy. Look, that's on my bucket list as well. So why did you choose Italy, may I ask?
Italy was just one of those that we had my brother was supposed to get married in Italy back in 2020. So that was kind of one of our bucket list anyways to go over there.
Planned. So we it wasn't one of those that, he was thinking about it. Like we had it planned to go. So we had everything we already had our dreams there.
Oh, so it kind of just fell into place, which was good.
It really did, and of course COVID came in and, ruined that one. So whenever we had the chance now, we jumped on it. And especially with Disney and all the great things that they do, it was a perfect, marriage, that we wanted to jump on.
Well, speaking of marriage, it's also our 20th anniversary this year. So it was like one of those big deal type vacations.
Hey, congratulations. 20 years. That is awesome. So
it's our 25th this year.
Oh, congratulations.
And for Tim's 50th birthday, I surprised him and took him to Italy. So
there you go.
Lots of things happening here with this. Yeah.
I see a lot of Italy ties. You should have told me. I could have shared some of those phrases you could have used when you went over there.
I didn't know you back then, Lonnie G.
There you go. Well, now we know. So let's get to the nuts and bolts of this trip, right? So I understand you guys left on March the 18th, right, to head over there?
Yes, that is correct. Yep, left on Wednesday the 18th. And we flew in from South Carolina. We flew into Atlanta, had a couple hours layover there. And then it was a direct flight from Atlanta right into Rome. And it was about a 9.5-hour flight over there. So we finally got into Rome about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday.
Okay, so hit Rome you probably slept like babies on the flight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, bushy tail, bright eyes. You guys like, hey, look, we're here. Let's knock it out. So, was there anything you guys did in Rome when you got there?
Well, unfortunately, our hotel was not ready yet, so we had to kind of waste time until about 3 p.m. So we and of course we were exhausted because we were coming right in off the red eye, but we just kind of walked around. Our first thing was to grab, was it espresso or was it to do like the actual like street side espresso, which was amazing. And then we just walked and walked and walked.
Yeah. It is one of those cities that you could just kind of just stroll through right for hours. So when did your Adventures by Disney trip actually start, and how many days was it?
So we actually started on Friday, which would have been the 20th.
Okay.
And then it goes for 8 days or 7 nights.
Wow.
I had a question. When you landed, was there anything with Disney that got you to your hotel, or was that a hotel that Disney provided, or was that something that you did on your own?
So if you book a hotel, so, of course we stayed, an extra night ahead of time. If you book a pre or post night stay, then your transfers are included. If you go in and if you're staying at the same hotel, if you're not, then you're kind of on your own. You got to get, to whatever hotel that you're staying at, the first night, and then you've got to make your way from that hotel to the starting hotel, for adventure, the next day. So the transfer was included. So as soon as we got off, the plane, went to baggage claim, went through customs, grabbed our stuff, and then, as soon as you get through that, you walk outside, and it's a little, especially being overseas, you don't know what to expect. In both directions, as soon as you came outside, there was a guide there with the Adventures by Disney paddle. So it didn't matter if you went left or right. You saw the paddle, you knew where to go.
Wow.
Oh, no, that's cool. So booking that way, they were able to kind of get your luggage, at least help you get to your hotel, and then you can start your walking around.
Correct.
While you were touring, did you see Lady or the Tramp at all around there?
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I just was asking.
They weren't eating spaghetti, but we saw both of them.
Yes, we should have done that.
I have another question. So when you got out, so they were there, let you know where to go, all that other stuff. So did they help you with flights too, or is that something that you did on your own and you told your ABD that information?
So they will do either or. So you can go to Adventures by Disney or your travel agent and go through that and tell them what what you would like. If you want Delta or American, if you want, economy or business class, whatever the case is, or you can book it on your own if you're using, points or miles or whatever the case is, or if you just want to book it, you can do that. And then you would just give Adventures by Disney that information, and then they make sure that somebody's there to meet you at the airport whenever your flight arrives.
Got it. And then you had mentioned that you were supposed to go to Italy in 2020, but that did not happen due to as Lonnie likes to call it, the great unpleasantness. So was this your very first trip to Italy?
It was.
Oh, love it. Okay. That's all my questions for now. Lonnie, you may continue.
Okay, so let's start off with day one, which was Friday the 20th. So you're in a hotel that Disney actually, I guess, one of the ones there, selectable hotels. So when did the actual adventure start for you guys?
So we actually started that morning. They tell you, depending on if you're flying in that day or even the night beforehand, they tell you that you need to go downstairs. You need to meet, your adventures guides at least by 12. And whenever we did that, they introduced themselves to us, gave us, kind of the ins and outs of what we were going to be doing for the next couple of days. And then you're kind of on your own for the next, 2 or 3 hours. And for us, we started, that very same day. And we started at 3:00. So they just want everybody to be back at the hotel ready to go by, 2:30. So Kristen and I took our time, walked down, into town, did a couple things on our own, and then met everybody back at that time. The one thing that they do recommend or, kind of stress a little bit is just be flexible. Even though they give you an itinerary, it can change, depending on certain things. For us, if you looked at the itinerary on the website or what was printed out, we were supposed to do the Colosseum on the last day that we were in Rome, but for us, the Rome Marathon was that day on our last day. So they had to switch it, and we did the Colosseum on the first day instead. So that was really, really cool, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But that's, just one thing to don't have your heart set on the itinerary. Just know that it can change a little bit depending on areas.
It's a guideline, not necessarily set in stone.
Oh, I mean, I can't believe people run outside of Disney anyway. So the fact that they're running over there, that's just new for me. So I can't wait to hear about that. So you guys meet up. You're starting off. You guys are starting to, I guess, 3:00. You meet your guides again. How many people were on your ABD?
There were 40.
Including the guides, I think it was about 42 or 44.
Okay.
They said it was one of the larger groups. Like that's not normally how large they aren't normally that large. It's from what I kind of gathered from the guides.
And
Well, I mean,
then-
everybody wants to be around you guys. That's all. Like,
Right. It was because
they heard you guys are there. It's like, let's sign up.
Yep.
And then you've been a travel agent for the Magic for Less for a long time, so I'm sure you're well versed in all this. But the little that I've read about ABD, I know that there are some adult only trips and some that are family friendly. Was this one adult only, or was this one a family friendly trip?
This was a family trip, but you are correct that there are certain ones that are adults only.
Got it. And so, but it was just the two of you. You did not bring your kids on this trip.
That is correct.
Okay, so it was your adult only trip.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what we did in Italy too. It was an adult only trip. So
Yeah, you tell your kids you bring yourself to Italy. Okay, so what did you guys do the first night? Was it just introductions and all that? Or?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We did the Colosseum with the group, and then we came back and we had about 30-minute kind of reset. And then they had at the hotel, they had like a big like open buffet, a little bit of a mini bar type situation for all the families. You just kind of go in, sit where you want to sit. You're sitting with other families. They give us time to get together and kind of talk. And then they'll do the introductions where we all stand up and each person from a family and will stand up and introduce themselves and tell them how many ABDs they've been on and, why they chose this one or where they're from, this and that.
Oh, okay. So of that, because I've nerded out and I've watched some ABDs on YouTube and some people that have like, this 12th ABD or like this is my 15th one. So for you guys, this is your first, but did you have anybody that was like really seasoned on your group that's been on a lot of them?
We did. There were a lot of us that were the first time, but then there were a couple other families that had been there, done 4 and 6 different
6
trips
was
before.
the most.
Wow. Okay.
And they had kids with them too, so it was like a full family, like family of 6 people, and their and the grandma. They go on all these locations.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call that the good life. Okay. All right. So Friday's in the books. We're going to Saturday. It's exciting. What time did you guys start and what did you do on Saturday?
So because we were jet lagged and because we had a long day on Thursday and leading into Friday, we already started that aspect of it. But then on Saturday, it was boots on the ground. At 5 a.m., we had breakfast, and then we are on the bus at 6 a.m. The reason why we had to be up so early is because they took us on the motor coach directly to the Vatican, and streets are completely empty. And then we had a tour time of 6:30 at the Vatican. So it was just us walking in, nobody else there. So it was definitely worth the time that we woke up, but very tiring, later on that time.
Wow.
That was very different than my experience at the Vatican. As a matter of fact, I had read all the Rick Steves guidebooks and stuff, and I was so worried about pickpocketers because it's so prevalent around that area, not necessarily in the Vatican, but there's a lot of people in that area that I had this special backpack with these like steel straps and this, all this security stuff. And I like made Tim walk directly behind me. So even though I had this special backpack, I was just all, I was on high alert when we were there. I mean, before we got into the Vatican. So that also leads me up to a question about them preparing you to go. There are certain rules that you have to follow when you go to the Vatican. You can't have, you have to have your shoulders covered, you can't have shorts on, stuff like that. So did they provide you guidelines on clothing and suggested things to wear before your trip?
They did. They gave us some helpful hints of what to wear and things to do. I will say, though, that the Vatican was very kind of strict with their guidelines, but, there was a family that was there and their luggage was lost. So they were pretty much, their luggage was gone for about 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
4 days, yeah.
So they were in the same clothes. So they were in the clothes that they traveled in. So their children had like shorts on and things like that. And so they didn't really say anything to them at that point. So I don't know if it was something that our guides explained to the Vatican. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's because we were in we had like a private tour. I'm not really sure, but they were there was nobody with tank tops on, nothing like that. It was very respectful, very, very kind of modest type clothing.
I just remember they sold a lot of shawls outside. There were a lot of like booths that sold shawls, and a lot of people were buying shawls before they walked in there. So
Right.
yeah. Anyway, well, that's good to know, so that they prepare you ahead of time, so you don't show up that day and then you're like, well, I mean, you went in March, so it's not terribly hot then, but what if you were there in the summer and it was 100 degrees and you were burning up? So good to know. Okay,
Yep.
Sorry, another intro. I'm just curious about all the, how this all came together. So, all right, so you're at the Vatican. Let's go back to the story.
Yeah, that's kind of strong, though. I feel for that family. I mean, I heard of yesterwear, but they had yesterwear on. I mean,
there was a couple that was with us that she never received her luggage the entire time.
In 7 days?
Yes, she never. In fact, she actually beat her luggage back home. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
So I will go ahead and tell you a tip right now is if you are traveling international or even domestic, split your luggage or split your outfits between 2 different pieces of luggage. That way, like for me and Kristen, if we had split our luggage, which we did, if one of the pieces was lost, at least you've got 2 to 3 days worth of outfits to kind of cycle through.
That's a very valuable tip, because usually I'll take a suitcase and my wife's take a suitcase, right? So I like that, where let's split it up in case one of them, and I also, it's funny, I was giving some tips to somebody that's new on our team at work, and I said, invest in some Apple AirTags and throw them in your bags, just so you can know, because I've been stuck somewhere and Delta's told me, oh no, your luggage is here, but it's, we can't give it to you because, you missed your flight. You'll get it tomorrow. And I open up my thing, and my luggage is actually in Little Rock, right? In a whole nother place. And I'm like, yeah, it's not here. But it's always good. Give you some AirTags or get something to track your luggage. At least you know where it is. Your luggage on vacation. The luggage was sending the lady pictures like, I'm here, I'm there, whatever. So Vatican. That's somewhere that my mom always says she wants to go. What are your thoughts on the Vatican?
Well, the thoughts on the Vatican is do it with a private guide if you possibly can. Just because, and I will start with Adventures by Disney, you've got 2 guides automatically with you the entire time. You've got an English-speaking, American guide, and then you have another local guide that is from that area. So for ours, it was Tina and Marcello, and Marcello spoke very, very clear English. So that was very helpful. But then whenever you get into these cities, then they also have to bring in local guides for those as well. And each place is very strict as far as how many local guides you can have per number of groups. So sometimes we had 2 local guides, sometimes we had 3. And those local guides are very, very knowledgeable in regards to every little aspect of, so in this regards, in the Vatican, they knew every intricate detail as far as, all the different places and this and that. So it's definitely worth it. But we walked through it, and then at the end we had breakfast, and then we had to walk back through the Vatican after it had already opened up to everybody. And you were wall to wall with people, even that early in the morning at 9 or 9:30.
Like a Run Disney corral, like you're walking through and there was hundreds of people. So it was kind of weird and kind of unique to see the before and then once it opened. it was quite packed.
No, well, that kind of makes sense why you just started you guys off so early, so you can get that
Yes.
private showing. Okay,
Exactly.
good deal. Good deal. So y'all leaving the Vatican, you hop on the motor coach, and you guys had another adventure. They brought you back to the hotel. I mean, you guys got to be tired by now, right? You got to need some rest.
We were. So on that day, we left there, and then we went to, and I will tell you a little bit, of course, with it being Adventures by Disney, they always try to sprinkle in a little, Disney information and things like that. So the Vatican is actually the same size as the Magic Kingdom. So whenever you think about that, as far as size comparison, I thought that was pretty cool. But then after that, then we went to St. Peter's Basilica, and then we took some time there. And that the St. Peter's Basilica is another Disney trivia they told us it is 2.5 times the height of the Cinderella Castle. So just, a little trivia.
That is kind of fun trivia that they sprinkled in. I like that. I did not hear that on my tour.
Well, I mean, you didn't have an ABD, Jody. You were kind of like rolling with Tim at your back and your bag in the front, trying to watch out for people.
Yep.
So left there because it seems like that should be the whole day. Are they still bringing you guys to more places?
So we, of course, like I said, we had a late breakfast, at the Vatican, and then, went walk, downtown, like I said, St. Peter's Basilica, and then we walked over to the Pantheon, took our time over there a little bit, and that, when you look at the architect back then and to see it, up close and personal, it's amazing. But then after that, then we went and ate at a pizza place, and then that was our dinner that night.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so are all meals part of the ABD?
They're not. Majority of them are, but then there's a couple times that they would, we'll get to a certain area, and then you're on your own for, breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever the case is. But all of that is written into the itinerary, so ahead of time, what you need to account for and things like that.
Well, and the local guide, every day he would send us a list of recommended restaurants for the next day, so he gives 24-hour notice, and he would tell us, look it up, pick which one, and then I'll make the reservation for you. So on the free nights, we still paid for our own meals, but on the nights where we could pick our own restaurant, he'd give us the list and he would call and make the reservations for us. And in fact, we went to one restaurant and they didn't have our name down, and we were like, "Oh, Marcello," and it's like, "Oh, Marcello, then come sit." So it's like everybody knows your local guides, and so it was very magical.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that is incredible. So, all right, that sounds like a very productive Saturday.
Yeah.
So Sunday morning, we're up and about, or did it let you guys sleep in, or are you still fighting the jet lag? How was your Sunday?
We slept in until about 9 o'clock. And then at that point, we got up and headed out of Rome. And then that's whenever we saw the Rome Marathon taking place, and to watch it, from afar. And we were kind of hoping, and there were us and one other person that had run, any type of race. So to be able to, and we were kind of excited. We're like, we want to watch it and everything else. And you could see it like across the river. And then as we're going out of town, we're coming through closer and closer to it. And then next thing you know, our motor coach is passing the runners on the course. So to be able to see that coming from the Run Disney aspect of it, that was really cool.
And we researched, I think there was 35,000 runners. So it was it's a huge marathon.
That is huge. I'm surprised Ben didn't hop out there and start running. I mean, he's
I was just gonna say
marathons. He'd be like, let me get out here and start running.
We were geeking out because you could see the pacers. You could see like the pacers and stuff holding a paddle. They're holding balloons and.
Oh, not balloons. Balloons.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's a bunch of balloons.
Well, that's cool. So you guys passed it, and so they would bring you out of the city. So where did they actually bring you guys?
So then after that, we were heading to Tuscany, in the farm area in the wine country. And then that one, we stopped at this little town on top of the mountain. that we stopped and ate lunch at.
Orvieto or something like that. Yeah.
And then there they gave us, some free time once we got up there just to kind of walk around. And that place is known for hand painted ceramic, pieces and things like that. So you had, probably about an hour to kind of do some shopping. And then at that point we had dinner as a group. This one was taken care of. And in there, they did, the fresh pasta and everything else. We had a couple different dishes, but then the big thing on that dinner is that we did balsamic vinegar tasting, and they had multiple different ones. So they started out with a 6-year and then went to a 9. They had a 12-year and then a 25-year, and then I wanted to say like a 45.
I was thinking of the 45. It was either 45 or 60. I couldn't remember. It was 45 then. 45 years.
Wow.
I wasn't a fan of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that before. I'm sure it's interesting to go down the line and try them all and how much
it was amazing.
It was. And I've always thought of balsamic vinegar as something you put on your salads, or you dip your your olive oil and your bread into, and that's it. You get the one that's on the shelf and that's it. But to see the different the multiple different years, and I didn't know that they had that many years that they would do it, and then you could taste the flavors of it. And as you get the older it is, the more sweeter it is, and the more almost like a syrup that it is.
Like a thickness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's really a unique experience.
Yeah, I mean, literally aged like that, 45 years. That's incredible.
Right.
Yeah, but you had Jody when you said Tuscany in wine country, so
It was gorgeous.
I know. Isn't it amazing?
We loved Rome. Rome is a very cool place to visit, but but it's a very busy, going through, you automatically think of Rome, with the music and everything else, but a lot of times you get there and all you hear are the sirens and everything else, and you don't think about it. But once you finally get out and you get into Tuscany, it's a totally different pace, a whole lot more laid back. So yeah, definitely, was our favorite.
Oh, okay. So now each night, did you guys move from hotel to hotel, or they brought you back to the same hotel each time?
We stayed in each place we went, we stayed at the same hotel the whole time.
Okay.
So we were at the one in Tuscany for 3 nights, 2 or 3 nights, I can't remember. And it was like a little country inn. It was so different than the one we were in Rome. Rome had all this technology and all these like modern lights and windows, and Tuscany was literally like a countryside villa where I don't know, like it was very authentic, I felt like, for where we were.
That's great though. It gave you a kind of a feeling of both
It
places.
immersed us.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great.
So 3 nights in Tuscany. Any particular things that they brought you to that really stand out?
This is where we did we made our own pasta. We did the pasta making class where they had everything set up for you, and you got to knead it and mix it, and it was all done with your hands. And supposedly we got to eat it afterwards, but really I think they just trashed our homemade stuff and fed us the stuff they made. But it was still magical. They made us believe that we're eating it. So
yeah, it's like, Ben, you did a great job. Kristen, you did a great job. Here's your pasta.
yeah.
So now, since you came home, did you start making it at home? Did you take the recipe?
We have not yet. We keep telling the kids we're going to do that, but we have not done that yet. But I will say one thing about the place we went for the homemade pasta is it was also wine tasting as well. Well, obviously it was a kid-friendly event. So after we all made our pasta, they took the kids over to one section, and the kids got to make their own homemade olive oil containers, and they got to like fill up containers with flavored olive oils and put like different rosemaries or things like that in it, while the adults were doing the wine tasting. So it was very kid friendly. It was very inclusive. I guess just it involved everybody. Everybody got to have fun at one location, so it wasn't just towards the adults.
That's smart to have two activities going on at the same time at the same place,
Yes.
but something for the kids to do and something for the parents to do.
Yes.
That's part of that Disney magic.
And they fed us really yummy food.
Yeah.
Well, you made it. I mean, you made the
Really
pasta,
good.
so it's gotta be.
Yeah,
Right.
really good pasta.
We were the chefs.
All right, good deal. So after Tuscany, so we did Rome, we did Tuscany. Where did you head off then to continue your journey?
We took a train.
So no, after that, we went into Florence the next day. And in Florence, that is known as the leather capital of the world. So you can find some really, really nice purses and jackets and shoes and belts and bags and any and everything. But of course, there's always going to be the authentic shops. And then there are the not so authentic places. We got to see both of them. So that was a really good.
But that was the benefit of having a guide with you as well, because they told you what to look for. They told you where the knockoffs were, and they told you where the real stuff was. And that was really, really beneficial.
I mean, yeah, I guess being over there, and like I said, the home with all the leather and stuff, I guess you would have some knockoffs over there.
Yes.
It's probably made at the same factory. Probably the same person. He makes it there, and then at night he goes home and make another one.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they told us is,
but it is
yeah,
what it is.
that was one thing that they told us is, you get some things that are handmade in Florence, and then you have other things that says made in Florence. It's like, okay, well, it was just imported from China, but then sewn together in Florence, and then that's how they get away with it. But one thing that we found out that was kind of neat is in Florence, you also see a lot of things on TikTok and Instagram with the wine windows and things like that. Those were real big during the plague, and that's why they had them, is so they could still serve people the wine, but then they weren't having to interact with you as much. And then they actually shut those down for a long time, and then because of COVID, they brought them back. And then after COVID, they just left them open. So that was one thing that you saw a lot of were those. And then, we got to do the affogato, which is the homemade gelato with the espresso in it. You see those a lot, on social media.
They have I guess a knockoff version, I guess. And it's not Downtown Disney.
Disney Springs. And it's actually the same company that is in
blast
Florence.
from the past.
Yeah, that's the Disney That's the Disney tie-in. It's like the same company. We're over there too, though.
Yep, exactly.
I was just going to ask you if you had any gelato. I'm glad you experienced something.
Yes, we did. And in one thing too, you see a lot of gelato out there, but once again, talking to our guides, we were telling them we want some good authentic gelato. And he's like, I've got you covered. And so one of the nights that we had free in Florence that night, he took us directly over there, and
we must have passed 3 other gelato places.
Yeah.
So he brought you to like the real good stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
That's important because, again, just like knockoff handbags, there's knockoff gelato. You want to get the good. If you're going to have it, have the good stuff.
Yeah. I find it's always good to go where the locals go, which is why I'm so glad you guys had a guide because the locals know, besides just going to that first place you stop to. So let me ask you this: how many free nights did you guys have? Because you had one in Tuscany, you had, one in Rome.
We had one in Rome, one in Florence.
I think one in each place, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
We also had the occasional free lunches as well. So, but for the most part, I think it was just one in each place.
That's actually pretty good. And I just say that for a personal perspective, because I know when I've gone on tours before, my wife used, and she still says, it's good to break away from the group and kind of do something by yourself.
Right.
And I will say, there were a lot of us that were struggling with some jet lag when we were going back to Rome. And so a lot of them wanted to go back and cut through the tour early. And our guides were completely 100% okay with that. They lined up taxis for them to get them back to the hotels. So if you don't want to stay with the group the entire time, it's recommended that you stay so you don't miss anything. But the guides are perfectly okay with saying, we get it, we understand. Let's get you transportation back to the hotel to make sure you get back okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody say, ship these kids back to the hotel.
Right.
Any other highlights from Florence?
I think that was about it. I mean, there's a lot of walking, and even though at Disney we do a lot of walking too, it's a different kind of walking over there.
The cobblestone streets, man.
And, yeah, and it's cobblestone, and it's the large cobblestones.
Mhm.
So yeah, take that into consideration.
Yeah,
I don't know how those Italian women wear their heels walking around on those cobblestones. I just don't. They more power to them. I guess because they've done it their entire life. I'm like, gym shoe pair number 1 and gym shoe pair number 2. Way.
Okay, so after that, okay, so we knocked out 3 big ones. Did you guys go to any other parts of the country?
So after that, the next morning we got up early, and this is one of those Disney magics again. And I will say this: from the time that we got into Rome on the very first night or the very first morning, you never touch your luggage the entire time. So when we got to the airport, somebody picked up our luggage, put it on, one of the carts, took it straight to the car. Whenever we got to the hotel, the bellman picked it up. We never touched our luggage at all the entire time. The only time that you touch it is you put it outside your door that morning, at 6:30 that morning, and that's it. This was another one of those instances where we're leaving Florence and heading into Venice the next day. And we got up, our luggage had to be outside at 6:30. They put all of the luggage into a Sprinter van, and the Sprinter van takes off, and you see your luggage when you get to Venice that night, and that's it. So that was
the luggage took a van ride, and we took a train ride to Venice.
I love the trains in Italy. Absolutely love them. They are amazing.
Yes.
The lady had jealous. I wish I had my luggage.
Yeah.
right.
We were dragging our luggage through the train station, putting it in the train. I mean, we were schlepping our own stuff. So you definitely had more magic than we did. We were in charge of our own things. So, okay. So in Venice in particular, that's one of the worst places to be carrying around luggage because you have to go up and down and up and down and up and down.
So, Venice was amazing though. Like Venice was probably my favorite. Like I don't know if it's personal because anytime I'm around water, I feel like 100% like at ease and at peace. So Venice was my absolute favorite because you have to take a boat everywhere. There's no cars. You definitely get lost.
So
though.
they just threw all you guys on the gondola and told you to a gondola, I guess, and told you guys, hey, get on this gondola and we're gonna bring you over. I mean, I'm sure it's better than the Venetian in Las Vegas, right? I mean, it's the real gondola.
a little bit.
A little bit different too. We actually did get on a gondola ride, a little private gondola ride, and then they put us in like groups of 3 gondolas.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were with another family, but the middle gondola had what would you call them? Like somebody playing an instrument and somebody singing. So it's almost like we were all like on a personal private gondola through Venice with our private musicians, and they made it very romantic. And yes, of course, that was another Disney magic thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is really cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. And then we also had a big shuttle bus to our hotel.
Did you get lost?
Shuttle boat. Sorry.
Shuttle boat.
Did you get lost at any time in Venice?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, then you did it right. We were so lost one night, and I'm like, I don't know, honey. You just look at your phone and try to get us back. I have no clue where we are.
If it wasn't for the fact that the guide said, okay, here is where you need to take the shuttle boat back to the hotel. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to pin this location right now.
He was very smart.
And then once we got out, it's like, all right, I have no clue where we're at. Okay, well, I can take my phone and figure out on Apple Maps or whatever the case is, how to get back to that point. But yeah, other than that, if you told me how to, no, that ain't what happened.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a maze, a mouse in a maze. It's pretty amazing.
It's still the same. Yeah.
I think that's why we didn't gain a lot of weight on that trip, because after every meal, you'd go walk around for like an hour trying to find your hotel again.
Yes, most definitely. The Venice is where we did the Venetian mask, and that was so fun. That was awesome.
Me about that. What did you do?
So with the Venetian mask, they tell you the history about it and why it was created and all of that. And then they take you into this small itty bitty shop where there are Venetian masks hanging up all over the place. I mean, it's very overwhelming, to say the least. And while we're in there, she's telling you about how it's all made and the different steps that they take and everything else. And then after that, you go into another room, and then everybody picks their own style of Venetian mask. And they've got, I mean, there were probably 30 different types that you could choose from.
There's like a full face mask. There was just the eye mask. There was all kinds.
So you picked that, and then we walked outside, walked around the corner, and then they had a separate, private room for us, to where we get to learn how to paint them. And then you're there with the people, and they're helping you if you want it, and giving you tips and things like that. But you have a creative blank slate to make it however you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then after you get done making them, then their masters take it and dazzle them. So they've got the lace that they put on there, or the jewels, and then they put on the accent pieces and everything else. So that was a really, really cool experience, just to be able to do that as not only individuals, but then as groups as well. But these are our masks.
Okay, so for people who are listening, because not everybody watches.
So sorry, yes.
That's okay. Ben's got more of a full face mask. It's a reddish, yellow, orangish type of colors. And Kristen is more of the eye type of mask. It's purple is that a side, like maybe a butterfly wing on the side? Yep. Okay. Very detailed, lots of, quite beautiful, both of them.
Mm-hmm. And so they packed them up for you guys and shipped them, or because to me, I would be like hesitant to kind of bring that in the luggage. So how did?
Well, that's So that kind of the same thing with us too. So they took them, and they, that was the only time that we saw them was whenever we finished them, and then later on that night we had our going away, our sail away party. And that was a really, really cool, adventure once again with them, because it is it's an old pirate ship that they take, and everybody goes on the pirate ship. Of course, they've got Pirates of the Caribbean playing as we're getting on board, but then all of the Venetian masks that we had just made earlier that day are all laid out on the tables, for us to pick up on that last night.
That's really neat. So you mentioned that this was a tour that had both adults and kids. Were you able, I'm guessing there were other people there that were just adults without children with them. Did you connect with any families? I've heard that on these trips, these ABD trips, that you really, have an opportunity to build some pretty close friendships with people. Was there anyone that you really connected with?
Yeah, I feel like everybody. We had a moment where we could connect with every single family that was there, because we're all there for so long. So, 1 minute we'd be chatting with one family, the next one we'd be chatting with another family. And even the ones who have been on APDs in the past had said that this is probably one of the most friendliest, and we all just meshed well together. We all just kind of got along great. And they even said that was probably one of the better trips they've been on. Mm-hmm. And I even spoke up and said all the kids were great. Like, you didn't hear any of the kids fighting or bickering or anything. It was great. Like, I don't know. It was just a very magical type trip. The last day we were there, we were on the pirate ship. And at one point we're all doing line dancing on the pirate ship. And, we're just having fun. It's like we were one big family.
And then for the pre-part, when you go on a Disney cruise, you can join your cruise group, like you type in your name, like, oh, okay, I'm going, July 4th, whatever. And you find your cruise group. Is there anything like that for ABDs? Is there a group ahead of time, or do you stay in touch afterwards, or anything like that?
There's not. There's not anything on the forefront of it to get acquainted with each other, or because there's nothing like the fish extender gifts or anything else. But then on the end of it, Disney does not, kind of sanction, making a list of everybody's name and information. But, like Kristen said, we had become very close with everybody. And it's like, you know what? I want to keep in touch with you whenever we get back home. And of course, some of the people we had already exchanged, phone numbers and email addresses, but we went ahead and a bunch of people had, come up with the idea, let's just make a list. And so everybody listed their phone numbers and email addresses, and then you took a picture of it. And then that way everybody could get in touch with whoever they wanted to at that point.
Oh, that's really sweet.
There has been an email that has been, there's a group email that was sent out, and a lady had taken some random pictures of, me looking out into the water in Venice, and I didn't know she'd take my picture. She wasn't trying to be creepy about it, but she was like one of those who wanted to take the opportunity and saw a cool thing and took a picture. So she sent us a bunch of pictures like that.
That's really nice.
We have communicated a little bit.
Nice. So Ben, because you're a TA, who would you recommend this type of trip to if you were talking to a potential client and maybe someone who's already done Disney and they were looking for something else, but who would you say would be the ideal person to try either this ABD or any ABD?
It's really hard to say, and the reason I say that is because it depends on where you're at in your in life. Because like we said, there were people on there that were it was just a married couple. There were people there with their kids. There were older people that were celebrating their 80th birthday and different anniversaries. So it's really hard to say oh well, this one is only for this type of people, because it's open for anybody.
I think there was a minimum age requirement of like 8 years old for this particular one. Yeah. So we'll say that. And
it just depends on the adventure that you're going on to, the destination, because there's a couple of them that are in the States. So if you wanted to try one in the States, just to kind of dip your toes into it and see how you like it, and see that dedication and that attention to detail that Disney does so well. And then for Adventures by Disney, they raise it up tenfold, in my opinion. And then you could look at the other destinations. They do have adventures on all 7 continents now. So there's that you could look into. So these are more kind of on bucket list type places that you want to go. But at the same time, there are so many people that you talk to, and it's like, okay, well, I want to go on this bucket list whenever I retire, and it's 75, and it's like, okay, well, then you get bad health, then you don't make it to that point, and it's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and take it. And we're big on on adventures make memories. That's kind of our family's hashtag that we always use. We loved whether it's just Disney or whether it's going to your local park or your local beach, is making those memories with your family. You don't have to go to Italy to do it. But just make those memories while you can now, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
That's very true.
That's true. So true. So then you guys went to Italy. I mean, that's a big one. Do you have any other ABDs planned? I mean, because I heard you get, you go to one, you get hooked. You need another one. It's like
we're definitely hooked. We're definitely hooked, but we have some dreams. We just don't have anything booked yet. I think we some people had convinced us, was it Japan or China?
Yeah, Japan.
It's Japan that some people had almost convinced us to sign up for, like right then and there, because they had been on that one. That one seemed like it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Konnichiwa.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. That, and then there's one in Africa that you do the safari on, and one of the families had done it as well. So just hearing their personal aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like you, Jody. That's one of my bucket lists.
That has been on my list. My dad started traveling to South Africa when I was in middle school or high school. So it's been a minute, and that's how long it's been on my list. So it's been there for a while.
Yeah. I heard that's one of the most popular ones, because you go to Pride Rock and you can see like a monkey holding up a lion.
I will say, though, you were asking about different families and different trips. I felt like Italy would have been great for kids, but there was a lot of like wine tasting and things like that. Whereas I would love to take our kids, if we go to Africa or if we went to Japan, I would love to take them on those particular trips. Italy, like I said, it was great, but I feel like our kids at their age would have gotten a little bit bored. But there were other kids there that they like the younger ones. They loved like the olive oil thing, and they had like a kids movie night while the parents were doing dinner one night. So there were a lot of kid things, but I felt like Italy was it would have been great for just family, just couples, just no adults. Whereas I think safari would be amazing for kids to experience. Like I feel like that'd be more family. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
There's a lot of art and a lot of history in Italy. And just taking our kids to France last summer, I got a lot of, this sculpture, what's the difference between this sculpture and that sculpture? I'm like, the person who sculpted it, I don't know. Like Landon's favorite thing.
One had a fig leaf, one didn't. I mean,
Landon's favorite thing to ask me was like, what makes this piece of art famous and not this piece? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't tell you. I'm not an art historian. But I think even my kids is at their age, we're sometimes like another museum, another piece of art. And that is so much of Italy. Like the ceilings and all their painted beautiful, like, but after a while you're like, here's another one and another one and another one. So I could see what you're saying that it sounds like they did a lot to keep kids entertained, but I could also see where sometimes kids would be like, mine would be still, Mom, another museum, really?
That's how our girls would be like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this again? But our son would love it. He's an old soul though, so he would love it.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I tell you, now more than ever, I'm fired up to go on one of those ABDs. I just have to convince my other half, or better half, to go on one. But she likes to travel, so who knows? Maybe if I let her pick one out, she may agree with that. So thank you so much for joining.
They look amazing
and sharing. And guys, if and Ben, I don't know if you want to share your information. If anybody has any questions about ABD or something like that, feel free to. If you want to be contacted, you might not want to be contacted, but if you like to be contacted,
right? Yeah, if you want to be contacted, I'm no pressure whatsoever. But you can contact me on all the social media. It's Ben Lappin, Lappin Travel. And then you can email me at ben@themagicforless.com. And then I'd be happy to help you out, look at different prices for you to see what works best for you and your family, because not every adventure is going to be the perfect one for everybody. So let's find out what works best for you and your family.
Yeah, sounds good. So now we are going to transition to what all say is the best part of the show, which is quacking up with the ducks. So, Ben, can you quack us up tonight?
Well, I don't know if I can quack you up or not, but speaking of Italy, why is it better to go to Italy without a set itinerary?
I don't know.
Because it leaves you plenty of time to roam around.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I give it to you. That is a good one. Jody B. It's hard to come. You got to follow that one. It's hard.
I don't want to. Mine is absolutely terrible. So I'm just going to let you all know. Do you know how Italians feel about ghosts?
Italians feel about ghosts? No, I don't.
Nope.
They're not afraid of no ghost. Alfredo, get it? Alfredo. That's terrible.
Joe, that's not terrible. This one is terrible. Guys, I used to have a rooster, but I replaced it with a duck. And now I wake up at the quack of dawn. I know it's bad. It's bad. That's okay.
Yeah. Ben and Kristen, you definitely won. It's because you were just in Italy, so you had the whole Italian vibe. You're still channeling it all.
So, yes. Well, thank you once again for joining us tonight, guys. If you like what you hear, please, like I said, feel free to join us on our socials. We're at Disney with the Ducks on Facebook and on Instagram. And feel free to drop a like and follow. There's always some great articles that Jody B posts, and we're very active on there. And you can even shout out Ben on there, right? And let him know how much you enjoyed him sharing his adventures and Kristen allowing him to go on the ABD. Because you gotta have that checkbox. Like, yes, we can book that.
Right.
So thank you, Kristen, for letting Ben go, and thank you for letting him hop on the show. Greatly appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, and I
Good to
think
see you.
Jody B, if you want to take us out.
Well, I would love to know how to say quaharini in Italian, but I don't know how to translate that. So we're just going to go with quaharini.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
I'm glad you guys didn't run into the Votori while you were there. I know Jody B, you know about the Votori? You haven't seen they were doing a tour group. It's the Twilight Vampires, right? No? Okay, must just be me.